Good morning, good morning, good morning. How's everyone doing? How is everyone doing? So my daughter is home today, and you'll definitely hear her screaming. She's a room next door. But it's all good. She's home with a cold again. But it's all good. Need to switch off the sound. On the phone. How's everyone doing today? Good morning, Atsuki. How are you doing? Morning stretch. Get those joints cracked. Good morning, Lurip. I think today, hey Novi Art, thanks for the host. So today I think some topic again, but let's yeah, open for suggestions what I should draw. Throw me some topics. Good morning, Kuru and George. I guess it's like George. Got a jet lag. You're on time. It's fantastic. So So we got TMH Lava's auto host. Thank you very much. Glowworm Forest Keeper, Sci-Fi Blacksmith, Poison in the Air, Roman Space Armor, Hands of Destruction, Master 7777, Oz. Thanks for the host. Right, let's roll the dice. Number one. How amazing. Number one. We haven't had number one in forever, and it's Captain Jetlag. Ooh-hoo-hoo. All right. What was it? Glowworm Forest Keeper. Glowworm Forest Keeper. Glowworm Forest Keeper. Glowworm Forest Keeper. Captain Jetlag is the winner, chicken dinner. Amazing. All right, timer's on. And Glowworm Forest Keeper. Glowworm Forest Keeper. Okay, one idea I had was this little guy riding a snail. Kind of popped up into my mind. He's kind of going up the hill, right? So we see the snail's underside there like that, and what I saw in my head was like he's picking the glowworms and putting him in a bag, like almost like he's picking apples, right? So he's riding through this avenue of trees and picking glowworms. Schmaze, the best nickname in the world, has arrived. Right, so that's what I'm seeing, and that's what I'm going to try to pursue now, right? So all the moves that I'm going to be making now is try to just facilitate that vision. So let's see how it goes. Coldburger Art, thanks for the host, as always. Much appreciated. Thank you very much. Okay, so we got the foreground stuff happening here. Picking some glowworms. We should probably have gonna make a new layer here, some sort of leaves, just for the, you know, classic framing elements, you know, because I don't have time to think of something completely unique. Right, we got that, we got that. We know approximately how dark we should go. Okay, let's flip the image. Yeah, it still works.
All right.
All right, so another interesting nickname, Angry Sausage, on Discord is having wrist issues, like hand issues. So I thought I thought I'd talk about it today, you know, because it's a very common problem with a lot of us artists, especially digital artists. Also traditional art, obviously, because you still grip a pen. But I think what usually happens more with digital pens is just we are so engaged in it, right? We don't take breaks, natural breaks, because we always have the satisfaction on the screen and so on. And one thing about like wrist health, what you have to think about is a lot of times the biggest culprit, um, is wrist angle. Like I always sit straight, for example, and I'll try to have my back straight, and I'm painting. Let's see if I can show. I'm painting um, with my hand. Oh, you can't see because of the headphones. Uh, I paint with my hand almost like that, you know. So there's no bending uh, or bending like that, you know, where the wrist pointing up. And a lot of issues with when people have wrist problems is, for example, when they use the keyboard and the keyboard is an off angle where you have to angle your hands to type like this, and it messes up your your tendons there in the hand. So that's the first thing you gotta uh, think about in order to have good wrist health is how are you positioning your hand? How are you using the muscles in the hand, right? So that you don't put extra stress um, on the sinew and uh, tendons and muscles, etc. Hey, Angry Sausage, welcome. Yeah, so and then that's the biggest issue that I know a lot of people do mistakes about is just default pose as you're creating art is not the best one, um, and that will always mess your wrist up, regardless of how many breaks you take or how diligent you are with exercises. Is if you burn the candle from both ends just because you're sitting in a bad position with your wrists, um, that'll get your hands broken really fast. Um, and another thing that you might one might want to consider is adjusting the sensitivity of your pen. You know, you can go in Wacom and adjust on a curve where full pressure will occur. And a lot of people love the tactile feeling of pressing hard to get full force, you know, full blast. But what you need to remember then is that you're engaging a lot of muscles that you might not need to engage. And probably what's for the better is adjusting the curve so that when you don't need to push full force with your hand to get um, like 100%, right? It's awkward in the beginning. You have to be very light on your hand, but in the long run, you'll save a lot of sore fingers and sore wrists and sore whatever this roof is. Um, hey, Kilrathi, good morning. um, and that is like the first things you should like think about at least. You know, if you're doing it right from the get-go, like position and adjust the placement of everything so that you feel that the wrist is relaxed, even though, you know, so you don't straining it. Um, I really ask you. Yeah, it's so easy to have issues. Um, so and another thing I thought I'd talk about is the thing I used to do to practice or to warm up my wrist. And whenever I feel like I need to up uh, the condition of my lower arms, I do this exercise. It's two of them. One is like making a fist as hard as I can and then stretching the fingers out as absolutely hard as I can to try to make the fingers as long as possible. And I do that like 100 times maybe. Your lower arm's gonna like burn. It's gonna feel like they want to fall off. But it's a really, really good way of stretching everything, and you're just like doing that all the time. It's a really, really good way to loosen everything up and strengthen everything because it's all about the grip and so on and making the joints move completely rather than halfway. Um, and the second, which is a bit more complicated in a way, is you take like a stick or what's it called, a handle, broom handle or something, and you tie a rope or string in the middle of it, and then at the end of the string, um, you tie something quite heavy. Um, so it's like a stick, string, and a heavy weight, and then you take the stick and you roll it. You roll it up, the string all the way up. I usually had it like a body's length, so I was standing with the weight on the floor and then rolling it all the way up, and then roll it all the way down with the same hand position. Then you flip it, so you grab the stick from top and you roll it up, and then you roll it down. You do that over and over, you know, a good amount of times, and then the lower arms and hands are going to be very warm and very sore. But what that does is it strengthens everything and moves everything and loosens everything in a way where I used to have lots of problems with my wrist, and I always was sore. Like I had to buy these gyro balls that moved the wrist because you were spinning it and moving the muscles, etc. And I found the gyro ball just annoying, so I came up with this. It's some of it is based on martial arts training, but a lot of it is just kind of common sense, right? To activate all the muscles, and I don't have any issues anymore at all. And for me, it works really, really, really well. It's a strong way to um, tighten and loosen up everything in the lower arms. Uh, Schmaze. Yeah, maybe you need to move them more. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe it's they're gathering dust in there. Just keep on cracking, I guess. No, but it's really really important to make sure that the way you sit and work is really really good. That you take breaks is very important, and you don't want to be you don't want to have operations, definitely, because it's interference in your body, and that's gonna always, regardless how well good the surgeon is, it's always going to leave scars, and is always going to lead to higher chance of further complications. And I know a lot of artists who had to go and do operations um, and things like that, and even damage their hand or wrist to the point where they have to stop working for half a year. And after that half a year, they can't go back on it for full time because it's going to damage their hand too much, just because they've been neglecting to take care of the one thing that they will make money from, you know. So that's something that you should really make sure that you try to remedy everything, because you don't want to break your hand and then not being able to earn money with the one thing that you need to uh, make money with. I mean, just take passenger's situation. I mean, obviously he didn't, abuse his hand. It was in a car accident, but he can't use that hand anymore for to to he was just starting his career, and now he has to reconfigure. He has to practice, relearn the other hand if you want to have a career in art, and you don't want to be in that situation either. Like, oh yeah, I was doing really well until I took an arrow to the knee. you know. So that's something you definitely gotta think about. Um, no, where did, oh, it just moved up to there. I wanted there. Beautiful. Up there. Ah, things have been moved around. I don't like it. Okay. I think that's okay. Yeah, it's for me, when I started getting problems, I was really like analyzing the problem. I think that is in my nature, and yeah, you don't want to be in a position where you can't use your hand just because you're neglecting it. That's cool, Kuro, but don't just do it when it hurts. Do it every day for maybe 2 weeks, and you're gonna lift, you're gonna increase your strength so that you don't need to do it that often, so it won't hurt, you know. And it's a good way to loosen everything as a remedy. Like, oh, my wrist is hurting, I better do that exercise. But it's better that you just strengthen your overall arm physique with those exercises, and like doing 100 clinches like with your hand doesn't take long, and you can do it, while waiting for coffee or things like that. But the amount of benefits you'll get from it you know is really good, and I strongly recommend. For me, at least, that worked really well, um, and it's for me a really good technique of um, keeping the sore wrists away. Hey, EOP Poison, welcome. Kilrathi, I talked about uh, hand exercise. I mean, you can just watch it on YouTube later, rather, so that I don't need to repeat myself. But it's a good way of keeping the whole lower arm really tuned up, so you don't have a lot of wrist problem or get carpal tunnel, etc. But that's not, like I said, it's not just a remedy about exercising. You have to also think about how you're sitting, at what angle the wrist is, and so on. And try not to paint with the wrist. Try to paint with the elbow. Cool, Kilrathi. I mean, the stream will go up on YouTube shortly after the stream ends. It takes like 20 minutes or something. Then it's up on YouTube. I strongly recommend that. Take care of your hand. Shame really to see good artists having to stop what they're doing because they've been grinding too much, you know. Svedzer, no, not at all. Not just with the elbow, but putting many hours in with just with the wrist. You know, you can't escape using the wrist while you paint. But if you practice also using your elbow and the whole arm, you're going to use more muscles than just one. Oh, thanks. Yeah, that was my like a picture I had in my head. Like I wanted to try to pursue this glowing goggles. Um, but I want to kind of bloom his face, but I'm a little bit scared of going full on bloom. We'll see. So where are we? We have 11 minutes left. That's 2/3 in. I think I'm doing pretty okay. Not amazingly, like where I would ideally like to be when it comes to amount of details, but I'm painting a whole scene, so I guess that's okay. And trying to fit all the elements in. I think I'm doing pretty okay when it comes to. There's something up here in the corner which I don't like. It made it feel flat, and I don't want to spend too much time repainting. But it's something that I don't know. I'm not keen on. Just had to kill some of it. EOP, no, I usually don't. I usually just leave them as sketches. The purpose is not to get something to finish. The purpose of these warm-ups is just to exercise the imagination, and I mean, a lot of decisions I'm making are decisions on the fly, and if I would spend time just kind of finishing what I started, it would have a flawed foundation, you know, not really considering a lot of the shapes to be correct, etc. You know, it's just kind of full on blast mode for 30 minutes. Usually doesn't end up the best with the best sketch, but you know, let's say I dig one idea, and then the idea itself, you know, I could repurpose, you know, reuse, but reusing the sketch would be as is would be a bad idea. I think it wouldn't be wise to do for me. It would require a repaint, and then, you know, the whole idea is to get the idea in these warm-ups. You know, I get a random topic from you guys uh, to challenge my creativity, and then I'll just kind of do something for 30 minutes, and that's the purpose. That's the warm-up. It's just warm-up to get my mind going, right? That's the whole purpose for these warm-ups. Even though they're fun, even though the sketch might be promising, I tend not to go back to them that much. Maybe spend another half hour or two, um, you know, enhancing the sketch. But I don't think I've only attempted to finish one, and that's still not finished because I've constantly had to repaint it because I started with a flawed or a sketchy foundation. Um, but it's a fun challenge. I love doing these warm-ups with you guys, where you suggest a topic. Tasty graph. Hey, thank you and welcome. Yeah, it's fun. It's a good challenge to try to paint something in 30 minutes. It's not easy, so thank you very much for the appreciation and the kind words. EOP, yeah, that time. Every day, every working day, it's the same. I don't stream on weekends. I now and then do extra streams on Saturdays, every second Saturday for sure, where I go over Discord challenge, 2 week challenge. It's like every second week you get a topic, and you guys do illustrations or designs or concepts, whatever you want. And after those 2 weeks, I do a stream where I do paint overs and and talk about what you guys have done, uh, and kind of give feedback and suggestions and my thoughts together with Passenger 74. Um, Usually, last Saturday he was AWOL. So we got 6 minutes left. Pretty okay, I'd say. I feel like because it's so many complicated things in this that needs to be readable, you know, like a monster, you can have a lot of more suggestive things. Um, I'm, I feel like it's almost there constantly. Like this is lacking definition, it's lacking stronger shapes, etc. But it's hard to get right when you have so many of them, so many shapes to try to define. You know, but trying, which is the purpose of the whole thing. Taste graph. Yeah, I know. I know. That's I've been thinking about maybe moving the stream time. Looking at the statistics of who's watching the most. A lot of people in other countries, they're like at night or middle of the day, the most people watching. So I'm thinking, you know, I can't really change it too much because it's work related. Um, so I don't know. I don't know what to do. Probably not the best time, like tactically, to stream at the moment, at this point. But what can you do, you know? We're doing these warm-ups. Everyone at the studio is doing these warm-ups at the same time. So I don't really have a choice in the matter. I chose to stream them. You know, so that's that. Oh, first time saying. Tasograph. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I could try to force it in my daily life, but this time falls naturally because we do it at work and it's perfect. You know, I can just devote that time to streaming, and it's painless to set up, upload everything. You know, it doesn't take away from work. It's autonomous uploading, all these things. You know, I don't need to sit and fiddle. Um, Everyone at work quickly shares their warm up anyways, and I do too. It just takes a minute or two. You know, nothing really detracts from the effort for clients, and it's a great way to get warm in your clothes and work ready for the day. You know, so I see a lot of progress in a lot of a lot of the artists at work doing their warm ups, and it's really cool to see, and it's really good way to stretch your imagination and start thinking about art. I just like it's like swimming. You don't go in toe by toe. You just jump in, and you're fit for fighting. That's cool, Silver Strangler. EOP about any tips? I did a while back portfolio review. If you go to the YouTube archive underneath and you go to the main channel, there is a special streams, and other in there is I think it's 1,000 follower special stream, which I think is the portfolio review, where I go through all of you guys. You submitted your portfolios, and in there I talk a lot about what new artists should think about and things like that. So if you want to know that, go ahead and dig that one out, and you should get some good answers there. Or join the Discord. The link is underneath the stream window. Just click that, and you'll get launched straight into the um, app. Which reminds me, I should have put a link to the main page of the YouTube archive actually, and not just season 1, season 2, because it has changed a bit. Need to remember that. I'm very happy that all of you like to come and join in and on the stream. It's a really good fun, and I think it's great for all of us, even me, you know, to have people to talk to and you know, have a community to share thoughts with and push each other to reach higher heights and all those things. You know, it's really good. I'm happy. I'm happy that there is so many people already, you know, happy to share and learn from each other. Oh, George, thank you. It's my pleasure. I try to have topics to discuss as well, rather than just like a lot of streamers just sit quietly and talk now and then. I try to have something good to discuss and with you guys rather than just me monologuing. Even though it's a one-way conversation, like you guys not heard, but I do read what you're saying and all these things. And I think it's, for me, I hope it's cool. You know, it's a nice free service helping the community. And ideally, it will grow into something useful. So we'll see. Okay, time's up. Um, Thank you very much for the topic, um, Captain Jetlag. It's a really cool, fun one. You've been asking for it for a long time, I remember. So you finally got your glowworm forest keeper. Um, and thank you everyone for coming. So if you want to join the Discord, link is underneath. YouTube, there is donations if you want to donate. All the things that come in from the donation will be spent towards the community. Have a great day. Good night. And see you tomorrow morning. Bye. Outro time.